We get another super chat from Mo.
What do you got here?
$5. Okay, so if Houer is going to make a move for reliever or starter, Luzardo, Scott, who gets moved, or who would you give up for a reliever right now? I guess for me, I'm honestly a lot more interested in Luzardo than I am Scott. Like Scott his whiff and K rate is down this year compared to last. That doesn't mean I don't think he can be good, but we're talking about a lockdown closer. Like, I guess you could say he was last year, but he hasn't been that this year, in my opinion, based off what I was looking at on Baseball Savant today and in recent days. But, again, that doesn't mean I wouldn't take him, but I'm not sure that necessarily fixes your problem. Now, Luzardo is a guy that if you want to bolster rotation, great. Like, I'm not against that. And, I think his numbers – I've just been kind of hurt for the fact that the Marlins kind of suck. But he pitched pretty well whenever he came to Wrigley for them, and he was pretty good with the Marlins last year. As far as what I'm giving up for Scott, I'm definitely not giving up any of the top 100 guys in the farm system. I'm willing to give up someone in the top 20 for Scott.
Canario?
Yeah, I'm willing to give up Canario. The thing is that he'll be a rental. Like, he's not Canario
and a lower... Sure. I don't know what the asking price. The asking price now is probably more than it will be later because you're getting more of the season for a guy.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I know we sit here a lot of nights and say the bullpen's just not good enough. Mm-hmm. I still sort of believe that patience is the right path for the Cubs here because you can see what the rotation's doing and you can see that arms will be starting to filter down to the bullpen and should help at least get them through the stretch. I'm not willing to give up one of the top prospects in May.
Yeah. I'm not giving up
to see if I have a team that's good enough to win the division. I want to know the team's going to win the division and then add that guy for a big playoff push.
Sure.
That's when I'm willing to give up a bigger piece of the pie.
And everyone has been talking about Mason Miller as well, the guy for the A's who's throwing like 102 miles an hour.
Oh, boy, be careful when a guy throws that hard that his arm's not going to fall off, and then you've given up all your prospects for it. Well, I'm not saying it's the right or wrong move. I'm just saying, wow, I don't know if I'd do it in May.
Well, he's not someone who's on the market in May.
No.
Because the A's
guys aren't on the market in May.
The A's aren't selling right now. They're like the real major league right now. They're the movie major league right now with the fact that they're supposed to be sucking, but they're not sucking, right? With Mason Miller, he hasn't even hit pre-arb. He's going to cost so many prospects. I am not giving up Cade Horton for a reliever. I'm not giving up Kevin Alcantara for a reliever. And I'm not giving up Matt Shaw for a reliever or Owen Casey. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm not giving up the farm for a reliever. I'm not a top 100 guy.
Now, maybe one of them for Bo Bichette, but that's another story.
If we're talking about an impact player that can play every single day for your team, okay, let's talk. But I'm not doing it for a reliever in May. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I've watched this movie before. I'm not doing it. So with Scott, I think you can get him for a guy that's not in the top 100 considering it is his last year with the Marlins. And they traded Arias to the Padres, and the Padres didn't even send their top prospects for Arias. And, I mean, that guy just won a batting title last year. So I don't know what's going on with Miami. They're always just, doing all kinds of crazy shit that doesn't make any sense to me.
Jed has talked to him. The lines of communication are open, but that doesn't mean a deal is getting done.
I don't think it's like a point of desperation for the Cubs right now either, because I'm with you. Because once Wicks is back and Hendricks is back,
see how it plays.
You're allowed. You can move Ben. You can have Ben Brown in the bullpen consistently. You can have Hayden Wisniewski in the bullpen consistently. Cade Horton is going to debut at some point, and I feel pretty good about him in the bullpen if they want to try that out. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about this Jordan Wicks thing. Like, he's never pitched in the bullpen before, but if they want to go with him to the bullpen, fine.
Maybe he's the long relief guy.
Maybe. But I'm sorry, man. I'm not doing it in May. Everyone was worried about the bullpen last year at the beginning of the year, and they figured it out. And I know everyone wants to blame the bullpen on what happened in September, and it does have its faults. but I still blame the offense mainly for what happened in September last year. So that's how I feel. I will come to agreement in the fact that, yeah, they need to add bullpen help for sure. They need a better late inning reliever. They need a guy. They definitely need a guy, but
they might even need the guy. But
I just don't think. I just don't think on May 6th.
That doesn't mean we don't think.
Yeah.
That there's massive need for improvement.
Right. And the discussion of it on social media has just been so like exhausting because it's just the same people. It's the same thing every single day, especially when, you know, a certain reliever gives up runs or this and that. But I just don't think that it's time for an extreme amount of like desperation or whatever. I did 2 threads today. One thread was games the Cubs had no business winning. They've won 6 games. I went through the schedule and I found 6 games they had no business winning. And then I went through the schedule and found games that they blew. And you know how many games that added up to? 6. So it's evened out at this very point. All right. I know some people might think there's more than 6, but if you really just look at it in general and look at how those games were played out, there were 6 games that they should have won, and there were 6 games they had no business winning that they did win. All right. So to me, I don't think everything in the pitching is as bad as everyone thinks. I really don't. And I know people aren't going to agree with me on that, and that's fine. I don't tell y'all how to think. All right. And you're not going to tell me how to think. So you guys can all yell in the chat about it if you want. But I just think once the rotation is at full health and you can take some of these guys who have been in the rotation helping you out in roles that you didn't expect them to be in this year, once you can put them in the bullpen, it's going to help. I really do think that.
Your bullpen in mid-June could, I don't know if this is how it's going to work out, could potentially have Ben Brown, Hayden Wesneski, Jordan Wicks, Cade Horton. Who else am I missing? Almonte.
Luke Little could be back.
Merriweather when he comes back. I'm just saying, like, now you start looking at it and say, well, wait a minute. Remember, bullpens are a thing that can be great in the first half of the season, horrible in the second, and vice versa. They're so volatile. That's another reason I don't necessarily...
Lighter. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, all of a sudden you could look at it and say, wow, that rotation in that bullpen could really be a strength if you can get to that point. But because closers and bullpens are that volatile, it's another reason why I'm not willing to panic yet in early May and mortgage the future of the franchise for someone that maybe is unnecessary at this point because, and I know every game matters, and I know they're in a tight division, but I'd still rather see the team show me that they're a playoff team for sure before I'm really pushed to make that move. And it's still, it's still coming within like 7 weeks, but I'm just saying today, I don't think you have to call somebody up and make an irrational decision to go get that bullpen arm today.
We all silly like the mayor.